Wake up and smell the roses, folks. Because Vyse is invading Valorant's habitats.
This metal wall backpacked T1 to the most dominating bind win ever. In 9 of these 12 defensive rounds, Riot's newest agent Vyse humiliated Zeta Division. Time and time again, these clueless attackers kept running headfirst into Vyse's big gray giant and had 0 ways to counter. But how? It's just a big-ass rectangle. Sage has a wall too. What makes Vyse's so special? Well, Zeta Division made one ginormous mistake that every player makes when facing Vyse, and it cost them big time. So in this video, I'm exposing T1's top secret tech to the world and curing Zeta Division's case of stupidity that ended up embarrassing them in front of the world.
We're gonna build the wall. We have no choice. We have no choice.
Ever since Vyse's release, we've been seeing her pop up more and more. But why? Well, it's simple. Teams have been noticing their win rates and stats skyrocket since inserting Vyse into their lineups. Now, how do they keep track of said stats? By using free tools like blitz.gg. The Blitz desktop app costs you nothing and offers you a ton of useful information. Like if you queue into throwers, you'll know as soon as you hop into Agent Select and save some RR. The Blitz will also reveal what your teammates are good at and what your enemies are bad at. You abuse those to win more games. The app also tracks your best maps, weapons, and agents all in one place. It tells you exactly what areas of your games that you need to improve on. They also feature an in-game dynamic stats overlay that gives you real-time statistics of on-the-fly adjustments you can make. Now, once the game's over, there's some post-game insights showcasing every area of your performance. Blitz also supports League, TFT, Apex, Fortnite, CS2, Pal World, Destiny 2, Escape from Tarkov, and a ton more. Guys, come on. The Blitz desktop app is free, helps you get better, and funds this channel. So if you've ever wanted to support me, now is your chance. Download the Blitz desktop app for PC by clicking the link down in the description.
Now, I'm really glad that Bind is the first map that we're seeing Vyse played on, because out of all the maps in rotation, this is her home. The thing that makes Vyse different from every other Sentinel is that they are focused on anchoring sight, or stalling, while her strength is fighting for extremities, which is exactly what Bind is all about. On this map, it is really important that you control one of the vital pieces of the map so that your team can have an extra avenue to retake from. And now compare her kit to Cypher's, who just gets snapped and is instead more sight-focused. Vyse can swing with her arc rows, create traps with her shear, and then stall the opposite side with her razor vines. Say it with me, Jimmy. Vyse isn't meant to anchor sight, but instead fight.
Step on me.
What? I mean, just look at T1 setup on pistol. Vyse and Gecko were long, prepared to combo Dizzy with her arc rows. The offense runs up, she pops her flash, Gecko sends out Dizzy, and it creates an undodgeable flash combo. Either dodge the rose and get gooped on, or shoot the blueberry and get blinded. And they don't even have to use this 1-2 punch. Every 20 seconds, Vyse can just clear out various lanes to make sure rotates are in the right spots. This thing tags people like a Skye flash would. But not only that, Meteor invested in 2 Razor Thorns and placed them right outside the exit to hookah. Meaning, if the attackers wanted to split B, they either have to wait 20 seconds for these to expire, or dive headfirst into these pseudo-slow mollies. But despite the broken setup, the attackers went A and rolled the defense. Then on the anti-eco, Deadlock's Grabnet held the defense in place while Neon had her way with them. Honestly, this wasn't too bad, but I think Neon might need a small nerf, but that's another story. Then on the first full buy, the offense decided to split B. And honestly, I started to get frustrated for Vyse. I'm a Sentinel main, and I hate it whenever the attackers just dodge my sight round after round, especially when I have 6 setups. I mean, just look at all this stall clogging up these lanes. You can't plant, go into lamps, but it's this shear that's the piece de resistance. It abuses the one part of Bind that really isn't map control, a short. Because if you really think about it, have you ever heard anyone say, "Oh, let's take a short"? No, because it doesn't really exist. You're either up it or you're not. So this wall forces the offense to commit to the execute in order to bait it out. That's the best way for Vyse to lay out her wall. Normally you can jump spot around this thing, but look at how deep this shear's placed. The worst part is that you don't even know it's there until it's too late. By the time it rises, 1 or 2 of your members are isolated on the other side, covered in these thorns. And it is on this round where we finally get to see this agent blossom. T1's plan? Well, on B, KO can slow down and execute real well with a well-placed knife, and on A, the defense are playing a quick game of the floor is lava. Buzz satchels Meteor on top of tower, herself on a truck, Brim posts up in heaven, and Gecko slots in behind a truck. With these elevated positions and all this Vyse vomit on short, the offense can't plant, and showers should be awkward to come out of. Plus, Vyse can constantly flash her Rose in shower to let her know if someone's coming. And once the attackers see Raze on top truck, no shot they expect this Sentinel up here. Long story short, it's a good setup. And Zeta are headed right for the blender in their 4-1 split. The round begins with Fade ripping a Prowler up short, Brim and Cypher trade out utility contesting shower, but Neon is gunning it up short.
ここにはレーザーバインメテオのトラップが仕掛けられています。エクセル返していった。そしてスラッシュの返しと合わせてメテオの射撃優先順位完璧。
ただラストワン位置が特定できてないですね。
スラッシュはおそらく複数ヒットという判定でしたがそこの位置は読めていませんでした。
Now, while Zeta did run into the 4-stack and Deadlock kind of bent over her own Neon with her GravNet, it's a bit more complex than that. As Neon flipped up her fast lane to slide into lamps, just look at how long it took for her teammates to come follow her up. In order to get through, they had to go up and over the wall, and then fall into these thorns. Now, had Raze just been holding the smoke against this Zero Flashes comp, she probably gets 3 or something. Raze was T1's first line of defense, and once Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall, it was Vyse's turn to step up. As she hopped off tower to contest the exec, she popped her flash, and it didn't tag anyone. It cleared shower, meaning that for the next 10 seconds or so, Meteor could focus solely on short. He got 1 on the initial entry, a second tangled in his thorns, a third from Thrash, who was pretty badass and might have been a bit overkill, and a 4th in shower once Meteor recognized that those 10 seconds were up. He couldn't find the ace, but with that death and superb anchor job, Vyse's Steel Garden is primed and ready to snowball T1 early in this game. T1 farmed Zeta save round, where Vyse used the same exact setup. I mean, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. You can't bait up the wall, you have to go so deep to here and break these Razor Vines, and if you don't, these things literally last 10 seconds. So because the setup is so strong, T1 are running it again, but are playing in the same spots? Don't get me wrong, this tower position is a really strong angle to play on, but once you use it once, good players are going to expect it in the future. Odds that she gets cleared? Pretty high. Especially high because Zeta are slowing down the pace. Every round so far, the offense has just been running it down, which isn't great against a Vyse. Then without a Raze, Sova, or anything to break these Razor Vines, I think their plan is to find the site Vyse isn't playing on and then hit that one, just like they did on Pistol. So here, they're starting B. The barriers drop and the attackers scale up B short. Fade's Prowler goes uncontested in hookah, KO falls, but doesn't fling his knife yet. Because on long, the attackers placed this default smoke, allowing them to move up long and into garden without having to worry about anyone peeking from sight. Executing through something like this would be risky, but rotates come in as these two contact up long, Neon burns a slide, Deadlock places and picks up a sensor, and the defense finally burn a smoke. That's Zeta's signal to leave. Their default has done its job and has dragged rotates over. Now with Cypher up shower, his teammates can burst up short, but there's a couple issues for both teams. Vyse's whole kit is here, but Cypher's taken shower for free before. This looks pretty familiar.
今回も乗っているメテオをどう生かすかです。車両上にはバズ、ショーストッパーを構えているか。バズはファーストブラスト、バズ。そしてメテオを落とし切ったショーストッパーの音がする。バズはどこから飛んでくるか。オービタルスパイク。ショーターバックサイドに侵入。
Okay, if Vyse is playing anywhere else, T1 probably win this round. Fool Cypher once, shame on him. Fool him twice, shame on you? I don't know. But again, just look at how separated Neon was from the rest of her pack. She even tried jumping over this thing so her team wouldn't get cut off. So, Raze blew her up. But lucky for the offense, Cypher made a big play with the info from his neural theft. But rewind a bit. There is a bigger brain play he made earlier. If you turn back the round to 1 minute and 18 seconds, you see Vyse pops her flash in shower, and Sayuta heard it. He now knows he has 20 seconds to work his way through shower and catch Vyse off guard before her flash recharges. And he did just that with absolutely zero time to spare. Now it's a 2 versus 3, and T1 have the world on their shoulders. Deadlock's bunker down in lamps with Brimstone, and Cypher's repositioned to short to cross with his teammates. The attackers start by clearing back sight, a knife to flush shower, meaning that there's only 2 more places that Zeta can be.
モッシュピットを入れてウィングマンの解除を狙っていきます。フラッシュ合わせウィングマンの解除、そこから2人でどう対応するか T1。 まずはショータワンオンワン、この勝負は時間する。
I don't know what Zeta's problem is. Neon's like a fly attracted to a bug zapper. Zeta are just running it down A again. You know what? I do know what their problem is. They don't have a Viper or flashes. Their comp sucks. Without a toxic screen or poison orb to apply pressure short, none of this utility is being broken.
That's what makes Viper insane on bind. Remember back when I said A short control doesn't really exist? Well, Viper changes that. By laying out her smokes like this, you block enemy sightlines from lamps and sight, granting yourself or your team a safe passage up this lane. Now, you can bait out this wall or break these vines, but Zeta doesn't have Viper. Meaning that this shear, while simple, is insane against this comp. That's why we see it almost every round. And what in the offense's comp is Neon supposed to follow up off of? Why is she even here? Ray synergizes way better with Fade and Deadlock anyway. Whatever. Zeta are slamming their heads right back into T1's same setup. Just, what did they think was going to happen? Well, without their Space Maker, Zeta's options are pretty limited. They need to find an equalizer before executing again. On the bright side, Cypher's taken showers uncontested, and the rest of his team has grouped up and is headed B after taking a few more pot shots into lamps. Now, here's the thing. Zeta don't have anything really to do anything with, so they kind of just walk around and up B long. They fake execute with a mid-sight smoke, but they all got suppressed by KO 0 point and took the teleporter. With the space Cypher's claimed with his trip, the offense feels safe enough to run up and split A, hoping that rotates will be spread out after all this amount of time. But how are they going to take A without abilities or weapons? On to the following eco, Zeta had no chance with these garbage loadouts and got steamrolled. Then on the next round, Vyse kinda threw. Now it shouldn't take a 6'4" muscular handsome analyst to tell you that Vyse shouldn't be fighting past her wall. I mean, honestly, that shower wall isn't that bad. It is very common for teams to 4-1 split A and wrap showers with a late lurk from shower. But with this wall, Vyse and the rest of her team can focus on short and not worry about being blindsided. But she threw it away. Then both teams played a wacky game of ping pong. It started by Stacks throwing a cross-map knife for Gecko to wreak their showers and protect this body from being neural thefted. It pushed Cypher out, Gecko in, and they both took pot shots at each other trying to gain the upper hand. Eventually, Izu got smoked out, Cypher got the body, and that's where the mind games begun. Because they were being pinged, the defense pretended to leave, then came back. They didn't want the offense to have an idea of which site to hit. But Zeta used this confusion to sell a fake. Fade unleashed her Nightfall, haunted sight, but Izu didn't bite. Fade died too, and the defense eventually converted. Then against the eco, Vyse swapped to B and successfully used her Razor Vines and Shear to separate the offense, and finally her ult to take everything away from the attackers, even though they just had stingers. But hey, I mean, with these smokes, had Zeta gotten out, the stingers could arguably bend the favorites in these duels. Now with those rounds out of the way, Meteor's gotten his rusty trusty wall back. But this time, they're contesting showers, expecting Zeta to be tired of running into a wall every round. Literally. And they'd be right. The offense are defaulting across the map, but are first sending 3-up shower. Round 11 begins with Scioda slapping a spy cam on the wall, which gets cancelled by Sylvan's Brimsmoke. Now, without any flashes, Zeta are forced to sit and wait this out, right? Just why? You have so much time left, and your team was coming back from defaulting towards B. Okay, well, Zeta have their Neon, Brimstone, and Deadlock left. Not 3 agents you would typically combo together. Their new plan is to gun it up short and hope for the best. Okay, well, the wall did its job and separated the offense from one another. Meteor just kinda whiffed. It happens. But what he did successfully was stall time for rotates to come in. Once the thorns fade, CLZ realizes an orbital strike is looming, so he taps a spike, and his team immediately darts towards the teleporter, and Sugar Zero lays out a stun sensor to stop anyone chasing them down.
ただ
シルバーのインセンディアリーによってクルーズが落ちました
ちょうど見えませんでしたからね。削った甲斐がありましたね、スタ
ワ
ック
ープからバズの車線シルバンはディフェンダーサイドから残り13秒
ス。グラビ
クラッチなるか
ですね。バリアメッシュをなんとか壊したんですけど、
1人倒せばアナイアレーションアップ走ってくる壁抜き
うまいですね。釣っています。
この辺りは
If you're anchoring either side on bind, it is really important you don't rotate until you're sure the attackers are planning. KO anchored, Brim spammed and got his, Race cleaned up, but it was Vyse that made this play possible. All this head bashing into this wall has finally knocked some sense into Zeta. With no Viper Wall to deny vision and counter the shear, their new plan is to send their only initiator up shower and pinch the site. Hopefully with extra firepower, Nia can get past the wall, but she can wrap site with her shower players. Then when the wall drops, then they can focus lamps. But T1 have swapped up their shear. It's now stemming from truck, and instead of isolating the entry, it's denying the plant. So once it rises, Vyse can flash, swing, and farm the isolated player. And notice how her flash is on the ground. Good controllers will sometimes smoke top truck to deny the top or heaven angle, especially when there's an op online. The odds of this being smoked is high. The round opens up by XDL yeeting his haunt through the shower smoke, and it doesn't get contested. See, now it's okay to run through the smoke. And he tops off this crunch with that Prowler grabbing that trap, and with that clear, it's Neon's turn.
T1 は4人の配置ファーストレーンからのスタートここにもトラップが仕掛けられている浴場の手前にはインセンディアリーが落とされているただ入ることができない挟めないデータに対して T1 は正面切って勝負をしていくショートも潰され浴場も潰される T1 完璧な守りです
Neon and Cypher got crunched. Zeta's entry managed to hurdle Vyse's wall, but notice how Brim's smoke and Molly allowed Meteor to rip his flash and swing through the smoke, almost pre-firing the attackers who made it through. And now because Deadlock was trapped inside shower, she ripped her annihilation, whiffed, Brim died to a small gap in the wall, and it was just a messy execute. Sure, the offense ran into a stack, but round after round, it's been Vyse's wall backpacking this defense. So, yes, the sheer Meteor kept spamming was insane. The offense can't bait it out, and without short, going A is very hard.
Why were you hiding? What you talking about? I want to hide. You were hiding.
If you're ever facing a comp like this in your rank games, use this wall. It's pretty damn good. But Vyse is Valorant's newest agent, and I want to cover some offense rounds. Consider these, bonus rounds. Starting with Pistol, T1's game plan is to gun it up short, quick, with all 5 players, while Zeta are set up in a 2-3. Neon and Deadlock are contesting long with their Sheriff and Ghost, ready to delay T1's pistols with her Barrier Mesh. Fade spotting Shower, while Brim and Cypher are clocking up short. But is this trip as good as this big, meaty wall? The round opens up with Fade haunting outside Shower, Neon peeking long, both spotting nothing. But Brim's jump spotting lamps and spots at least Gecko and his Sheriff, so Sylvan smokes. But that just allows T1 to move up close.
この先にはワイヤーです0ポイントストップそしてここにトラップがあるまずショーティー削ったが両方体力がローです
The thing about Vyse's arc rose is that it acts similarly to Skye's burst. Sometimes you just throw it out needing some info, you don't really use it for the flash. Here, Meteor threw it behind CLZ to prevent it from being broken so easily, and Buzz flew in with his shorty. But the neat thing is, where did Vyse put her wall? It's not holding the market flank, she didn't put it in lamps. What gives? Well, on bind, a tripwire isn't that useful. Sure, the defense can flank through market, but that's really it. Going through cave takes like 3 years, and it's predictable if the offense hasn't seen anyone in a while. It'll make more sense next round, but there just isn't as much map control that you need to hold on a map where mid doesn't exist. That's why teams usually cut their Cypher for a Viper. So she just bought Gecko a Sheriff, he gave her his Ghost, and he bought Wingman. As long as Raze got into lamps, which the 0 points in Arc Rose helped her do, the 2 hand cannons can defend the plant and not really need Shower like you normally would on this map. Instead, Brim's planning on a super late wrap. And he's just her Deadlock teleport. But she's being super careful. Sugar Zero doesn't have any support from Shower to come out safely, and is instead waiting on his Neon to come and pinch. The 2 players spot each other and exchange a few shots, but is Brim gonna realize nothing's holding flank?
そのワープの車線はシルバンが抑えましたがそのシルバンの背中から今度はデップです4対4
Brim going down was the worst thing possible for T1. He just zoned in on this teleporter and forgot that his butt was exposed. Now, the attackers are boxed like a fish, and need to fight for more breathing room or risk being pinched. So Vyse slaps her flash on the teleporter, Gecko readies Dizzy, and KO dies.
一方でインスモークのスタックスが抜いたディジを壊して3方向で挟んでいくゼータディビジョン
バリアメッシュを使った。これで回り込むしかない。
バックサイドに侵入 ぐるっと回ってくる T1 中間ゼロが抑えてクルーズが抑えて1-1
体力が少ない。
やはりいくか
Just like we witnessed on defense, the Rose blinded for Dizzy to go sky high and tell T1 exactly where they could take an isolated fight. And by taking down Cypher backside, this allowed the offense to leak out and flip the map. The breathing room they received was just enough to win them the round. Now, while Vyse isn't your traditional Sentinel that holds on to map control for you, she still can. It's Zeta's first full buy, and they're in another 2-3. This time, the Inkers are teaming up to hold on to B, while these three stall and fight on A. Now, T1 are slamming B this round, but are taking their time. Buzz has invested into an Outlaw, noticing that the majority of the defense forced up Sheriffs last round, meaning they all have half armor here. So if the attackers slow down and slice the pie, Buzz should find the first blood. Round 15 begins with Neon sliding across Shower, followed up with a Fade Haunt, and no one's there. In the meantime, pay attention to Meteor's routine. He starts the round by shearing short to make sure no one's pushing up, and on his way back to Hookah, he rips his flash to again make sure no one's pushed out, effectively holding both shorts for his team. Now, yes, the defense can see you put this thing down, but what are they gonna do about it? You can't shoot it, it's not a trip. Defenders literally have to walk all the way down short and step across this thing in order to trigger it. They can't. Short belongs to T1. While he was doing that, the rest of his team was creeping their way up long, and Buzz barely misses on Sugar Zero. He wasn't response, and Izu barely doesn't kill him. That's kind of the problem with these no Viper comps. Without a second controller, you just won't have enough smokes reliably, as Brim has to sprint back and forth all over the place to put his down. And he only has 3. With Long Secure, Vyse's Rose is cool down and clears Hookah. No one's there. Then the offense kind of just stand around for a bit, waiting for her flash to cool down again. I mean, it is only 20 seconds. She re-clears Hookah, once again, breaks a trip, and the offense still want to go B. But that's fine. With Vyse pretty much clearing Hookah like 8 times, her job is done. I don't think any other Sentinel can do a more thorough job than she did. Meteor's now going to use the wall that his space has been holding on short for him to lurk. But the rest of his team continues to contact through Garden, Outlaw leading the charge. I mean, the defense don't have smokes. It should find something.
非常に怖い体力です。セットアップスモークが入りました。グラビネット返し、ショータのピークはどうだ。何人取れるかな。メテオシルバンで切り崩した。A 側にもシフトができる環境ですが、B 側打開したのでこのまま設置でしょう。残り
Yeah, so without anything to retake with, Zeta have to save. Zeta are on their final life and are forced to buy whatever weapons they can. Which really doesn't matter because T1 have their Steel Guard inactive and plan on using it in the best spot on this map. Their game plan is similar to last. Vyse holds on to map control, her teammates go long. And now Zeta's plan is to stall on A with this stun sensor and Brim's kit while they fight B? I'm not sure. They set up kind of just in the middle of the round. But Meteor starts things off with the same shear on A short, flash B short, and he regroups with his team on long. Izu flashes all of them across Garden, and then Neon peeks, probably because she knows the offense have 2 big ults, and someone has to make a play, but she dies. And then this happens.
イズファーストブラッドデップが落ちた。
シルガーデンこの攻めるきっかけになる。
スティールガーデンで武器が使えない。こうなるとエルボーからの車線は通りません。さらにトラップを置いた。エクセル打開したか。ディフェンダーサイドから入ることは難しい。スティンビーコーでなんとか突破した。イズワンピック。そしてメテオイズメテオ。
Oh yeah, one last thing I forgot to mention. If Vyse does get sight, her Razor Vines can delay up to 20 seconds, if not shot. Here, coming out of spawn just wasn't an option. Deadlock and Brimstone just said fuck it and forced their way through, but Vyse heard this. She popped her flash and completed her carry job for T1. Vyse is nuts. But is she really better than Cypher? I don't know. Watch this video and you be the judge.